Very good afternoon to the Honorable President, Your Honors, respected colleagues of the defense and of the legal representatives. The Office of the Prosecutor stands here today in the case of the prosecutor versus Alex Chamberlain in the crime of, under Article 7(1)(a), crime against humanity of murder. Your Honors, the Rome Statute came into being to stop all such crimes, such heinous crimes, crimes against humanity. The purpose of the Rome Statute was that these crimes could never, to end these crimes and not have them repeated again and again. Yet here we stand with another individual accused of committing a crime against humanity. Article 7(1)(a) of the Rome Statute deals essentially with the crime of murder against humanity. In that regard, it has a few essentials which I would like to elaborate. One, that the perpetrator has killed one or more people. Two, that the attack was widespread or systematic. In this regard, Your Honor, I would like you to note that it is an either-or alternative. It need not be essential. Thirdly, that it needs to be against a civilian population. And fourth, it should have been conducted as part of a larger scheme of things, and it should be intended. As such, the prosecution will present evidences to the same, as well as the testimonies, and exhibit the annexures which have been attached so far. In regards to the Regulation 55, we will be actively opposing it, as the prosecutor intends to assert the independence of the office to try and try the crimes under Article 8. While during the investigation proceedings, the prosecutor has extensively investigated and has decided that Article 8 cannot be applied simply on the basis of merits. Although Regulation 55, Clause 2 has been invoked in the order dated December 28, 2017, we would like to say that we would not like a recharacterization of the facts in terms of Article 8, as we feel that it might actually jeopardize the prosecution case, which has already been formed under the chapeau of Article 7(1)(a) in this regard. Further still, Your Honors, I would like to provide you with a brief history and statement of facts in this regard. Perosia and Galador are two neighboring countries at this point.
Please, do your very best, do your very best not to repeat the facts. Thank you.
Do my best to not repeat the facts.
Not repeat the facts.
Obliged. If I may point out 2 to 3 facts. One, it should be noted that Galador, while Perosia was a dominion of Galador, Galador contributed extensively to the development of the town in question, the Bell Town, and was removed from dominion in that regard. Number two, another fact that was in the compromise that I would like to bring out right now is that the company, the chairman of the company right now, is undergoing investigations under multiple jurisdictions. And further still, as per the compromise again, there are allegations of inhumane conduct on various camps. However, those form the basis of another case not to be tried in this regard. And that is all, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Much obliged.
I find the bell annoying. Can we dispense with that? Do you need the bell? I don't want the bell. No bell, just show the... Please.
This is counsel on the behalf of legal representatives of victim. Appearing in the matter of prosecutor versus Mr. Alex Chamberlain. I am Pradyumna Poddar and I am assisted by Ms. Aishi Tiwari and Mr. Parimal Kashyap. I'll be giving the opening statement, doing the examination in chief, and my co-counsel Aishi Tiwari will be doing the cross-examination and delivering the closing statement. May the counsel have permission to refer to the judge bench collectively as Your Excellencies. Much obliged, Your Excellencies. May the counsel begin with the opening speech.
Please.
Death cannot speak for the atrocities committed, but it is the duty of the living to ensure justice is dispensed to them. In the present case, accused has committed crimes which concerns the international community the most. So the legal representatives here are here to seek reparations for the economic, mental, and physical harm caused to the refugees, 75 refugees on board, and the ship and the damage caused to the ship Goliath. So before beginning opening speech, the counsel would like to state some important facts to give a wider insight to the court.
Yeah, as again, please be restrictive in your recitation of the facts.
May the counsel take just 40 to 50 seconds to brief the fact. Much obliged, Your Excellencies. Mr. Chamberlain was a forefront in running the company SFC, and it is very pertinent to note that SFC was under investigation in multiple jurisdictions for violation of human rights and labor rights. And the situation referred in the decision of pre-trial chamber refers to the internal conflict of Perosia between the natives of Belltown and autocratic government of the Perosia. But from the facts, it is shown that the natives of Belltown were heavily dependent upon Galadorian government. Even reports indicated that the Galador...
Can you focus on the facts which are important for you as victims?
Much obliged, Your Excellencies. So when there was a mass exodus of people from Perosia to Galador, in the name of visa application centers, many offshore detention centers were opened up by the government. And some of these offshore detention centers were managed by the accused itself. These detention centers were used to loot people, torture them, and detain them in the most harsh conditions possible. So the specific incident in question is the attack on the ship Goliath. The ship was attacked by operatives engaged by the accused. 24 people were died instantly and 47 sustained injuries. After the 47...
What happened in the camps, is that a relevant fact for this trial?
Indeed, Your Excellency, because of the fact that to prove any crime under crime against humanity, we need to establish some contextual elements. Establish some contextual element. That is, the act was conducted as a part of widespread or systematic attack directed against the civilian population. For that purpose, the legal representatives who use the atrocities committed in the detention centers refer as attack. Will refer that atrocities committed in the detention center as the term attack. May the council lay out the arguments from the legal representative. So the three main issues faced by the court today is whether the accused is guilty of crime against humanity of murder or not, whether there should be legal recharacterization of facts pursuant to Regulation 55, and whether the accused is guilty of various counts of war crime under the Article 8 of the Rome Statute. Coming on to the first issue, whether the...
I think you won't have time to go to all three. Would you choose the second or third?
The council begs your pardon.
I'm saying you won't have time to, in 2 minutes, to do all three. Would you confine yourself to the second?
Indeed, Your Excellency. So there should be legal recharacterization pursuant to of facts pursuant to Regulation 55. To prove this issue, the councils will give 4 arguments. Mainly, the Regulation 55 is in conformity with Rome Statute. It comes under the ambit of routine functioning. It does not come under the ambit of amendment of charges, and it does not come under the ambit of amendment of charges. Then the prosecution will it will be argued that it does not affect the prosecutorial independence. After that, it will be argued that it does not affect the right of the fair trial of the accused, and also legal recharacterization of fact is in true spirit of the Rome Statute.
Please carry on.
Thank you. I beg your pardon.
Please carry on.
So after the court is convinced that there should be legal recharacterization of facts pursuant to Regulation 55, the legal representatives will be dealing with the issue of war crime. Under the issue of war crime,
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you. It was a pleasure arguing with you.
Please.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. May it please this Honorable Court, I am Speaker 2 appearing on behalf of the defense in the present case of the prosecutor versus Alex Chamberlain. Your Honors, I will be delivering the opening statement and conducting the examinations in chief, and my co-speaker would be delivering the closing statement and doing the cross-examination of the witnesses. Your Honors, may I proceed with my opening statements? Your Honors, in a criminal case, the burden of proof is on the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the accused is liable of all the charges, all the crimes that have been charged. Your Honors, from the defense, we do not have to prove anything. On the contrary, the prosecution has to prove to you that the accused is guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Your Honors, the issue in this case is whether Mr. Alex Chamberlain was justified in defending the nation on the dawn of January 23rd, 2016. Your Honors, Mr. Alex Chamberlain, the counsel for the defense is going to prove in the course of the trial that Mr. Alex Chamberlain is not liable for the crimes that he has been charged against, and that the liability rests with the Galadorian government, and that the acts committed were in pursuance of self-defense and under explicit state orders, under explicit superior orders. Your Honors, if I may focus Your Excellency's attention towards the incident that ensued on the morning of January 23rd, 2016. Your Honors, on that day, the Belltown people breached the border security of Galador. They entered the waters of Galador on a ship without authorization with a Perosian flag. Your Honors, it's pertinent to note that Perosia had infiltrated the critical infrastructure of Galador, and hence Galador had the apprehension that Perosian forces could conduct hostilities towards them. Your Honors, in such circumstances, the Galadorian government gave the orders on the morning of 23rd January 2016 to the accused in this case to intercept and contain the ship. Your Honors, the accused did not have any say in these orders. He simply followed what he was told. And henceforth, the 20 operatives who intercepted the ship were simply protecting the security of Galador and protecting the security of the hundreds and thousands of people who lived on the coast of Galador. Your Honors, it has been held by the ICTY in the case of the prosecutor versus Blaskik that persons openly carrying arms cannot be considered civilians. Your Honors, in this case, the persons on board the vessel Goliath shot at the SFC forces first, Your Honors. They initiated hostilities. Your Honors, further, this court has held in the case of Jean-Pierre Bemba Gombo that in case for an act to be considered as an attack, the primary object of the attack must be a civilian population. Your Honors, in this case, the Belltown population was an incidental object of the attack and not the primary object of the attack. The primary object were the people who had initiated the hostilities, who had fired at our vessels. Your Honors, therefore, our submission is that the whole case is simply a case of self-defense and state responsibility. Your Honors, may I...
Can it not be said that there were multiple repeated instances of harm?
Your Honors, there was a single isolated act committed on the ship Goliath on the morning of 23rd January 2016. There weren't multiple commission of acts. And Your Honors, I'm going to address this in my submissions. Your Honors, may I move forward with my submissions? Your Honors, my first submission is that the accused cannot be held liable for the crime against humanity of murder as the basic SHAPU elements are not being satisfied. There is no organizational policy. There is no state policy, there is no widespread or systematic attack, and most importantly, Your Honor, Mr. Alex Chamberlain was not aware of this link between his act and the attack. Your Honors, during the course of the trial, we shall try to prove to you that Regulation 55, invoked by the legal representatives of the victims in this case, is not maintainable because Your Honors, the Regulation 55 has been invoked to include charges of Article 8 of war crimes. But Your Honors, we are going to prove to you that the basic elements of Article 8 under war crimes, that is, an armed conflict and the awareness of the accused about the armed conflict, cannot be established. Your Honors, with respect to armed conflict, it was held by the ICTY in the case of the prosecutor versus Tadish. An international armed conflict exists whenever there is resort to armed forces.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Your Honors, may I just move forward? May I just state my next two submissions?
No, you'll have time at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Much obliged, Your Honors.
Motion to approach the dais, Your Honors.
This is the second.
The prosecutor wishes Mr. President and Your Honors a very good afternoon. The prosecution would now like to call the first witness, prosecution witness 1, for chief examination.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, witness. Could you please state your nationality, occupation for the record?
I'm citizen of Galador, and I'm the executive investigator at the National Investigation Agency of Galador.
How exactly are you related to this case?
I was the executive investigator, so I have investigated the incident that happened on 23rd January 2016.
Thank you, witness. What were the findings of your investigation?
The raiders spotted a lone ship on 23rd at 7:15 a.m. and the officials at the shore tried to contact them but could not. So the SFC, the on-duty officials were asked to assess the situation and were told to follow all procedures and according to the military manual, etc.
Oh, I'll have to stop you
Okay.
here, witness. You talked about a military manual. Could you
Yeah.
please recognize, permission to approach the witness, Your Honor. Could you please recognize this piece of document for the court?
Yes, this is the San Remo Manual on international law applicable to armed conflicts at sea, which is applicable in the case.
What was the military manual which was specified to be followed in this case?
This one.
Please continue your narrative, witness. Thank you.
So the SFC on-duty officials were asked to assess the situation and were also issued an advisory instruction that the ship may contain certain armed individuals. And then at around 8:10 or 8:15, the contingent was dispatched, which included 20 operatives and 2 vessels. Now, during the investigation, I found a cache of weaponry, but no traces of evidence was found on the ship because the ship was destroyed. We also could not find any DNA evidence because of the same reason, but after the autopsy report, we did find plastic pins in the bodies, and we also found expandable bullets.
Absolutely, witness. I'll have to interrupt you here again, once again. Permission to approach the witness, Your Honors. Do you recognize this piece of document?
Yes, I do. This is the World Health Organization report.
This was prepared in the aftermath of this.
Yes, it was prepared.
It also talks about expandable bullets and plastic pins being used.
It
so
does.
This report is accurate? You
Yes,
read
it is. I have read it.
Your Honors, please note that Annexure 4 be marked as Exhibit A. The WHO report be placed on record. Please continue narrative, witness.
So after we found the reports, it was very difficult to assess the timeline because the survivors were not ready to cooperate with us. And then we issued the notice to the accused by the end of our investigation.
Absolutely. Permission to approach the witness once again. Could you please recognize this map for the convenience of the court?
Yes, I recognize this map. This is Galador, neighboring Perosia and Ocean Brook. Yeah.
The ship Goliath was traveling through exactly where? Could you please?
Yes, the ship Goliath was traveling from Belltown to Galador through the high seas.
Through the high seas.
Yes.
Please note, Your Honors, and Annexure 6, the map of the Targaryen continent, also be placed on record. Thank you, Your Honors. Were there any other findings in your investigation?
Yes, we also found email communications between the
Witness.
SFC and
I'll stop you here
officials, yeah.
again. Permission to approach the witness once again, Your Honor. Do you recognize this piece of document?
yes, these are the email communications.
The email communications in question.
Yeah.
Your Honors, Annexure 5 be marked as Exhibit B and placed on the record. Thank you, Your Honors. These are the email communications between the accused and the Ministry of Defense of Galador, which were obtained by the local investigative authorities. Your Honors, moving further, could you please state what were the critical findings that you did in the email communications?
These were the findings that we had, and we did not find any further evidence. There was no DNA found, and yeah, that's
Yes,
about it.
you've testified to the
Yeah.
DNA being wiped clean.
Yeah.
I'm asking specifically, what were your findings in the email communications? You've read these email communications, yes?
Yes, I have.
What were the findings in these email communications?
These were the findings in the email communications. That's it, yeah.
Your Honors, we will refer to the email communications later. Your Honors, also the San Remo manual also be placed on record, which was not done. Witness, could you please tell us about the camps, offshore camps, which were taken by Galador, and they were managed by certain organizations.
Yeah,
Could you elaborate about that?
Yeah, SFC and the government of Galador did manage the Camp Rustic, but they were asked to follow all the instructions and asked to use their own conscience in the whole process. That was the situation at Camp Rustic.
They were required to follow their own mind? their
Yes, they were,
conscience.
yeah.
Thank you. Witness, would you like to refresh your memory to the email communications findings?
I would.
Excuse me. Counsel, we find the time is up now.
Thank you. No further questions.
Registrar, would you call, just a pause for a moment?
The document that he was relying on, do we have a copy of that?
No, it's not in there.
Where was it? Please send me more manual.
Would you speak?
Yeah, and I think the emails are there, but not the San Remo manual. I don't think so. I've seen the email.
Apologies. San Remo manual was last week.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I just want to have a clarificatory question. So where is our opportunity to actually ask counsel questions at this point? Presentation.
Excellent.
The maximum, that's the maximum. they can let you know.
But surely there's got to be some time to ask them questions, right? If the time clock is running while we're asking questions. Right. But does that eat into the time that he's got? Okay. So we could interrupt. Okay.
Something. Sorry, again?
Softer bell.
Yeah. In the event of interruption.
Yes, in the event of
Understood.
interruption. The softer bell would be
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, before we could I ask a question to counsel just to clarify? Counsel, it's not very clear to me what the purpose of the examination that you just conducted was, right? It seems to me that it's not terribly helpful to just establish that a manual was followed.
Thank you.
And beyond which we didn't, what did we take away from that testimony?
Yes, certainly, Your Honor. In this case, certain evidences, the annexures, were firstly placed on record, so they were corroborated by this witness, who was the investigating officer in this case. So the WHO report was also corroborated by this witness, and further the email communications that were obtained by local authorities were also corroborated by this witness. The prosecution intends to rely on these in the closing statements and will be drawing inferences from these in the closing.
But surely would it not have been helpful to you to establish the content of those email communications and their significance to the case? Because absent that significance, what is the purpose of these?
Absolutely, Your Honor. The witness was asked to refresh the memory, however,
But it was not successful, right?
the witness did corroborate the email communications, and the prosecution can therefore rely on the email communications further.
Yeah, it just seems to me that I'm not entirely clear how your case is advanced by the testimony that we just heard.
Your Honor, firstly, certain instances, what happened on 23rd January was also testified to by the witness. It was very clearly stated that the order was given, certain instructions were given by the Galador government to the SFC Corporation and the accused.
But what was that instruction?
The
To follow the manual.
Yes, to follow the message.
That's completely unhelpful, right? How does that help you advance the case? I'll put it on the other side as well, don't worry.
Please, Karen.
Yes, Your Honor. So the military manual will be referred to because the flag 1 on the military manual clearly states that certain prohibitions that cannot be done on armed conflicts in the sea. The San Remo manual, which is why it has been placed on record. Further, Your Honor, we talked about the instruction was to dispatch a contingent. The order was given by the accused. has also been established by this witness to dispatch that continued, which left at 7:10 as the accused, as the witness has testified before this court.
Yeah, but just issue an order to intercept or to establish communication, it seems to me does not advance your case very far, because it's the malintent, for want of a better word, in those instructions that will be material, right, to establishing beyond reasonable doubt that a crime has been committed. Seems to me that that critical portion has had no mention in any of the investigators' testimony, when clearly that's what you should have done.
Absolutely, Your Honors. Furthermore, the investigating officer in this case also testified that it was the accused who gave the order to board the ship, which will be critical for the prosecution's case.
Even that is, in of itself, the instruction to board a ship is harmless.
We will show how the instruction to board the ship was violative of certain principles of international law.
And when would you do
custom.
that?
Your Honors, this was the first witness which was examined. We'll be examining further witnesses. We'll also be cross-examining other witnesses. Thank you, Your Honors. Does that satisfy the court?
You can carry on.
Thank you, Your Honors.
This used to be cross-examined, no? So, should be cross-examined now?
Yes.
Do you wish to cross-examine the witness? Thank you. Please.
The counsel seeks permission to approach the dais.
Will you plan to cross-examine the witness?
I beg to
Will you be cross-examining the witness?
Indeed.
Thank you, please.
Why would they cross-examine?
Maybe the work. Recharacterization.
Your Excellencies, may it so please the court, the counsel on behalf of the legal representatives would like to commence the cross-examination of Prosecutor Witness 1.
Please.
Much obliged. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
How did you investigate the matter on Goliath, or how did you investigate the ship in the present circumstances?
How did I investigate? As in, what kind of details do you want me to give?
For the first, please tell us how were the instructions from the government transmitted to the SFC?
Through emails or just, yeah.
Were emails the only source of communication, or there were more?
There were more.
Please specify.
Just, yeah, just I think emails.
No phone calls, no messages, nothing of official correspondence?
I do not remember.
Could you tell us to whom were these email communications made in SFC?
The director.
Was there someone else who was informed about the same?
I don't know.
Indeed. Also, could you tell us what condition was the ship in when you discovered it?
It was completely destroyed.
The destruction was very severe, or was it normal?
It was severe.
What kind of evidences did you unearth during this investigation?
So we found a cache of weaponry, but we couldn't find any trace of evidence at the ship itself. We found an autopsy, in which we found expandable bullets, and we found plastic pins in the body of survivors.
Why couldn't